Okay, Bobby, we're good to go.
Thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bobby Marlab, the co-founder of Mentor Walks with Adina Jacobs, and we're really delighted to bring you this final iconic conversation series for the year. We are so happy to have with us tonight Kristina Karlsson. She was last with us in February talking about how to make the most of the year, and she's ending the year with us to talk about how you bring your dreams to life for the year to come. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge that I am coming to you from the land of the Gadigal people, and to acknowledge that each and every one of you is on sacred ground for the First Nations people around Australia. So Kristina is an amazing entrepreneur who more recently founded an organization called Dream Life that she's going to talk to you about today. But most of us know her so far from the work that she did in the company she built, which of course was Kiki K, that was 120 stores in 5 countries and brands and products that many of us still love and use. And it's through that incredible experience, the company that she and her partner built after she arrived in Australia at 22 with her family on the other side of the world, wondering what it was that she was going to do. And of course, the essence of Kristina is about dreaming and making your dreams come true. So please know that we are recording this session. It will be on our YouTube channel. And also that, as I've mentioned, this is the last conversation series for the year, and also that our events have now concluded for the year. And all our dates for all our locations, 17 cities across 5 countries, will be available on our website from early next week. So if you like to book in for our events and walks around all those countries, please do so from next week. So without further ado, Kristina, over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. I am thrilled to be here. This is my favorite time of the year, and I love reflecting, and I love planning, and I love dreaming, and we're going to cover all of that today. If there's one thing I want you to remember today, that is, if you could dream without any failure, what would that be? There is so much there's so much power in actually dreaming without goal setting, and I'm going to talk all you through that today. But if you could walk away today thinking that anything is possible for you, then I've done my job. And I'm gonna walk you through it, and we're gonna reflect a little bit. We are going to dream, and then we're gonna plan, and then I can answer any questions you may have. I know that there was quite a lot of questions. A lot of them will be covered in my presentation today, but you might have some other questions while we go through this, and just put them in the chat, and we'll try to cover as many as we can. I started my journey as a 22-year-old, and I came to Australia, and I was really lost. I was whinging. I had no idea what to do with my life. So if any of you are there right now, it's a good thing, because we don't want to stay there for long. And today's presentation will be all about moving you away from that. And I've had my ups and downs, and most of us have had that in different areas of our life. But I basically started my little dreaming journey with writing down a few dreams on paper when I was 22. And at 3 a.m. one morning, I woke up my partner, Paul, I think for the 5th time, asking, what am I going to do with my life? And at 3 a.m., I wrote down that I wanted to drive to work every single day and loving it. If that's not you today, I wanted to really think about that when we do our dreaming session together. I wanted to have a business on my own, but I had no idea what that was going to be. I had no experience in business. So that was just a dream that I wrote down. So if you had some ideas, some dreams today that you think, I'm not sure if I can do this, write them down anyway. I also wanted to have a connection with my country, being Sweden. I wanted to work with Swedish design. That was my passion. And then I wanted to make $500 a week. And that was based on having a trip home and paying rent and eating some good food and wine. I was never driven with money. I just wanted to do what I loved doing. And to cut a very long story short, Kikki K was born out of that. And Kikki K was an extraordinary journey for me. I learned from very early age to create a global brand and open around the world. And of course, when you open around the world, you learn so much because with other people, with cultures, but also how you do business. It's almost like starting a new business in each country. And I'm sure Mentor Works people here can relate to that. But it's been an extraordinary journey. Unfortunately, it's a very long story, and I'm going to ask if I can come back and share that, because there are so much learnings in how I lost my business in administration over COVID. But it wasn't just COVID. It was bushfires. It was Brexit in the UK. It was a combination of a lot of things. And I love to share that story because I have some very good tools to help you get through challenging times. So we'll book in a session hopefully next year sometimes. And next year is not that far away. So we'll find a date. But that's something I love to share. But today I really wanted to focus on you and dream and plan and make sure that you make 2024 your best year ever. And I'm not saying that just to make a big statement. I truly mean that every single year I want to make the year a better year, and I want that for you as well. And because I no longer have a part of Kikki K, I now have a business called Dream Life. So I do coaching. I have a virtual book club, which I love for people who are crazy like me, who love reading personal development books and always want to evolve to the next best version of yourself. So I do that. I also do group coaching. And I, of course, could not get away from stationery. So I have something called the Dream Life store, where I have guided journals and stationery and cards and all the things that I love, and they're all able to be personalized now. So I'm very excited about that. So I'll share a bit more about the tools that I use on a daily basis in case you need some. But I have nothing to do with Kikki K anymore. And I know that will be sad for some of you who love Kikki K, but my new business is so much better. And that's a good thing. When you go through challenging times, you find new ways of creating things. And when you're an entrepreneur, I think you can always survive that way, which is a good thing. So there's lots to cover, and I'm going to go fast, but I'm going to ask you to grab a pen and a journal or a piece of paper, or however you want to take notes. I always prefer using pen and paper, but that's of course up to you. And I'm going to, while you go and grab a pen and a journal, and really take notes, because we're here to make the most of the hour we got together. So can you just give me a thumbs up, Tina, maybe, because I can see you. Yeah, Bobby, perfect. I just want to make sure the screen is visible. So I'm going to talk a bit fast, but you can always look back on the recording. I thought I either go slow and not cover as much, but I want to cover as much and talk a little bit faster, and I hope you are fine with that. You'll still be able to get a lot out of it. And I just want to let you know, English is my second language. I tend to make up words which I call Swinglish. Feel free to laugh, feel free to ask if I don't make sense in the chat. If someone can just let me know if there are some specific questions during the presentation. Otherwise, I look at the chat later on. I want to remind everyone that a dream written down with a date becomes a goal, and a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and then a plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. And we're going to do all of that today. And of course, we're not going to be able to finalize the plan 100%, but I'm going to teach you how I do everything. And then if you do want some more depth, I've got lots of different programs and options that you can always join if you wish. I'm going to start with reflecting and reviewing of the year. And I love this because a lot of us have such a full lives and busy lives. I don't like using that word, but it really, I think, shows how much we fill our lives with. And we often focus on the future, which is a good thing in many ways, but it's good to take some time to reflect. So we're just going to do a little bit of reflection to really work out what worked and what didn't work for this year. And then we're going to go forward and look at 2024. So I just want you to write down a couple of the highlights of 2023. So some of you might have got a promotion at work. Some of you might have met an amazing mentor at Mentor Walks, might have been a highlight. Some of you might have changed in health and maybe some new hobbies, whatever comes to mind for you. And when you do this in your own time later on and do more, it's good to look at your phone, even Instagram or photos or diary, to see what really happened. But just a couple of highlights of 2023. Feel free to share in the chat, because it might trigger the other people to think outside in different areas. So just a couple of highlights of 2023. For me, it was certainly I run a coaching program, and I go live every Monday. And last week, someone who had a dream 3 years ago when she joined the program to run 5K, she couldn't even run to the post what do you call it, post box, and that's what she said. I'm sure she could, but she actually ran half a marathon on Sunday, and I was so proud. That was certainly one of my highlights. And so sometimes your highlights can be some in your family or outside, could be a win that you did within the business. Doesn't have to be personal, but you choose whatever is right for you. I want you to write down 2 things you achieved. So many of us achieve so much, but we are always looking at the next goal and the next dream and the next promotion, perhaps, or the next career change. So what are 2 things that you achieved? Let's write down whatever comes to mind. One of my highlights, I'm just going to share some of mine just so you can perhaps think outside the square, because we often think the same way. One of my highlights, we got to 3 million downloads on my podcast, and that was such an exciting thing. And I also joined a network with my podcast, which means that we can reach more people. That's certainly one or 2 of my achievements. And we've done over 200 episodes. So for someone who was terrified, I had a dream to start a podcast. I'll share that a bit later. And I was terrified, and to be able to have done over 200 of them now and reached 3 million was a big achievement for me. I'm sure you guys have plenty. Feel free to chat. I'm not going to check the chat but for right now, but feel free to add for your achievements as well. And write down 2 things you're grateful for. There have been plenty of challenges, still are plenty of challenges right now in 2023. Regardless of that, there are always things you can be grateful for. So I attended a mentor only, not mentees, mentor only catch up. And I was so grateful to meet the mentors, because we always walk with you guys, which I absolutely love, but we never really get to know who the other mentors are. And it was so good to meet some of them, because I could then see who I can refer different mentees if they had a specific thing. So that's one thing I'm grateful for. I'm also incredibly grateful just to be alive, because it's so many things happening in the world, and we are so privileged to be where we are right now. If you're able to be here, that is something to be grateful for. But there are many things. I want you to write down 2 things you found challenging. This could be something at work, could be a personal thing, could be a relationship thing. It could be just, struggle with everyday life. We all have that from time to time. So what are the 2 things that you found challenging? I certainly find it challenging to do a startup when having kids, because I have kids in private schools, and I have kids that have so many activities, and doing a startup and not financially have the same resources that I used to, but also not having the same time when you do a startup. But I also love it so much. So the challenge is also a highlight, and that could often be the case. So 2 things you found challenging. And then I want you to think about what you learned from them. What did you learn from your challenges? So for me, I certainly learned that you can get so much done when you set yourself a deadline. So today we'll do some of that, so you can get lots done. So what did you learn from your challenges? Maybe you learned that you no longer want to be around people that drain your energy if you were in a relationship that didn't work, or perhaps a career or a role that you learned from that you don't want to be part of anymore. There could be lots of things, obviously. And then think about what made you happy. There are always so many things to be happy about. I always get so happy that I get to pick up my kids from school. So that's one thing that I do, regardless how busy I am. And the reason why it makes me so happy is because I've got the possibility to do that, first of all, but also I know that my kids will be growing up and they won't be around forever in terms of me picking them up from school. So my little girl, she finished year 6 today, so a big deal for her, and it made me so happy that she is in such a great school and such a good has such a good time. So that made me happy. And what are you proud of? There have been so many things within your life that you could be proud of. So I just want you to think about 2 things for 2023. It could be that you managed to get through, because I know there's been so many challenges for so many of you. It could also be proud that you actually took some time for self-reflection. And I think you should be really proud that you showed up at mental walks this year. If you did, if not, you're here today. So just write down whatever you're proud of. To take that time for you to do the mental walks, it's not always easy. We know that. So if you did do that, that's something to be very proud of. Then I want you to think about what you want to do less of next year. Were there some things this year that you do not want to bring into 2024? I'm going to start with looking forward now. What do you want to do less of? So for me, I certainly wanted to spend less time on scrolling social media. It's one of my things that I love Instagram, and I love being inspired, and I follow so many inspiring people, but I often find myself scrolling without really knowingly know it. So I want to do less of that, and I know I'm not alone. Some of you might want to watch less Netflix or any television. Some of you might want to do less news, because that's often very depressing. I'm not saying go away from news completely. I actually have, and it makes me feel so much better. I still get most of the news, but in a different way, not through television. So what do you want to do less of? Maybe you want to spend less time with people who drain your energy. Maybe you want to do less of certain tasks at work that doesn't give you fulfillment or doesn't move the needle. Everyone is different. So what do you want to do less of? And then what do you want to do more of next year? Maybe you want to do more exercise, more healthy things that you know will give you more energy to then make all your dreams and goals happen for 2024. Maybe you want to see more friends that give you inspiration. Maybe you want to do more mental walks since we're here. I think that's a good one. I never walk away from a mental walk not inspired. I always feel so inspired. And I'm a mentor. And if you're a mentee, I have no doubt that you would always walk away feeling inspired by the mentors, but also by the people who are there and you can network with. So maybe you want to do more of that. Now we're going to do some dreaming, and we're going to go straight into it. But before we do, I just want to remind you that no matter where you're from, your dreams are valid. And the people who kill our dreams and big goals are often the people that we love the most, the most well-meaning people, like our parents, our friends, our peers, and they often come from their own issues in terms of their own self-doubt, their own restrictions on what they think is possible. So when you think about your dreams today for 2024, I want you to really connect with your heart and not think about what your parents and your partner, anyone will think, because you don't actually have to share it, first of all. And secondly, if you're not around like-minded people, there's a lot of options that you can be around more like-minded people. So I just want you to write down whatever comes to mind, regardless if you know you can do it or not, because I did that. And when I wrote down that I wanted to have my own business, I had no idea how to start a business. I did not even know what an invoice meant. When someone asked me, when I worked for a travel agency, they asked me to create an invoice. And I thought invoice, I actually thought it was a voice system. So that was obviously an English issue, but some of us might think we don't have the skill to do this. Don't have the skill to change career, or the skill to take the next step, or do a side hustle or start a business, whatever that is for you. So I want you to write it down anyway, because we can deal with that later. I just want you to have the freedom to dream today. So we're not going to do goal setting now. We're going to get to that later. So today I just want to, so for now, I just want you to dream, even if you have no idea how to make that happen. We're not going to think about the how yet. So what would you do in 2024 if you knew you couldn't fail? What comes to mind? Just write it down. You don't have to share it. Just write down whatever comes to mind. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? So for me, a few years ago, I did this, and what came up for me was to start a podcast. But because English is my second language, and I just don't really have time, and I'm not a journalist, I thought there's just no way I could do that. But I wrote it down anyway. The first 50 episode was so scary, and I did not enjoy it. Now it's one of my favorite things that I do. And I got Bobby and Adina on there this year, actually, not last year. I'm always thinking 2024. And it was so fun just to have a conversation. And if I didn't write that down, I would never have done it. So what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to completely change your career, or go for that next promotion, or start a side hustle, or start a business, or take a year off, whatever is right for you. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail in 2024? Write it all down and just keep on writing, because I'm going to ask you a couple of more questions that will maybe trigger some other answers. What would you do if you had all the money and time you need in 2024? What comes to mind? Most of us don't have all the money we need to do whatever we want in life, and we certainly do not have the time. But if we did, what would you do with that? Write it down. So if you have some things where you say, oh, I'm going to do that when I have time, what are those things? Write them down. And if you had all the money to do whatever you want, so if you, for example, didn't have to work for money, so you had all the money, but you still had to work to go somewhere every day or do something every day, what would you do? It's a really good question, because so many of us, especially if you are the main breadwinner in the family, or you're making a lot of money out of what you're doing, but you're not enjoying it, it's really difficult to even think about it to change. So just imagine you had all the money that you need to do whatever you want. What would that look like for you? Would you change something major in your life in terms of your career, relationships? Maybe you move to another part of the world, part of Australia, whatever that is for you. And what if you had all the time? What would you do with that time? Well, how would you spend it? Would you work less or work more? Funnily enough, I would actually work more, because I just love my new business so much. I know that's not everyone. So maybe you want to work part-time so you can spend more time with family. Maybe you want to spend some of that time to create a side hustle, or something you're really passionate about for the world. Maybe it's something that you struggle with yourself, or did struggle with, and you can share with the world. So what would you do if you had all the money and time you need in 2024? And this is a fast session, so I encourage you for your morning coffee tomorrow to really think about these questions. What would you do if you had all the time and money, and if you couldn't fail? What would you do? And what would you do if you had all the skills and resources you needed? So most of us who wants to change, so I had no idea how to start a business. So if I had to think about, I'm only going to write down what I know, then I would never have written that down. So if you want to change a career and you don't have the skills, write it down anyway. If you don't have the resources in your business or in your role, or not the knowledge, write it down anyway. And you can even think about skills, resources at home. Maybe you would like to have a cleaner, or someone who cooks your organic food. I don't know. Everyone is different. Maybe you would have a personal trainer or a meditation teacher. You can just really dream big today, because we are going to narrow it down later on. You could just start with that free thinking. It's a really fun thing to do. I do it every quarter and I absolutely love it. And what would you do if you had all the courage you needed? The number one thing that I see in my coaching program is that people come in with a dream and they don't believe that they can do it, and they don't have the courage to do it, but they had the courage to actually join the program. And I think I love that, because when we have a dream that we've never done before, or a goal, however you want to name it, once you've finished this session, if you've never done it before, of course, we're going to feel self-doubt. Of course, we will feel a bit scared. That's just normal. And everyone feels that, even Oprah Winfrey, even Beyonce, everyone feels the same. Because if we do things we haven't done before and we just start out, everyone will have that. So I want you to think about, if you all of a sudden have all the courage and all the confidence that you need to do whatever you want, what would that be? Maybe you would speak up a bit more about something you really feel strongly about. Maybe you would do some more presentations and speak more in meetings, or in your family or your community. So what would you do if you had all the courage to do whatever you want in your life? And for 2024 specifically, but you can dream much bigger if you want to. There's no limitations here. We can do everything. I truly now believe that I can do anything in my life. I just can't do everything at once. So we're going to have to narrow things down, and we're going to plan it out in a minute. And the last question in terms of dreaming is, what would you do in 2024 if you had all the energy and health you need to do whatever you want? So I know that's not the case for everyone. So I want you to imagine that you wake up with full of energy and you have all the health you need. What would change in your life? Would you have more time to do whatever you want? Would you maybe exercise more? Would you get up a little bit earlier and have a morning routine? So every morning, when I say every morning, I'm human just like you. I'm not perfect, but most mornings, probably 99% of my mornings, because I love it so much, I have a morning ritual, and I have about 2 hours for myself. I have kids, they're a little bit older now, so I can do this. I couldn't when I had younger kids, but I have a couple of hours for myself where I meditate, I journal, I work on myself, my dreams and goals, and I exercise, go for a walk, or run, or whatever I do. And I love that, because it gives me so much energy to work on my dreams and goals. So if you don't know what to choose today, I want you to really think about what is one thing that you can do for your health and energy that could change. So most of us need more exercise. Most of us need to eat better, hydrate more, and perhaps be a bit more mindful. So whatever that is for you, just write it down. And once you get the energy and the health you need, you are basically unstoppable, because you can just make so much more happen. So I always have a health dream for my year, and that is to be fitter and healthier than the year before. And once you reach a certain age like mine, that will be a challenge, and I'm so up for that challenge. So I'd love to know what you will do for your health and energy for 2024. Put it in your chat. Now I'm going to ask you to choose 3 dreams for 2024. And if you think this is impossible, I understand. It's almost like choosing your favorite child. It's impossible. But I want you to just choose 3 for now that we're going to work on. You can change tomorrow. You can change tonight. It does not matter. I just want you to choose 3. So I'm going to give you about a minute to just choose 3. Don't overthink it. What 3 things, if you could change it, you can make it happen, for 2024. What would you choose? Just do a quick decision on 3 dreams. As I said, you can change it tomorrow. But for the exercise today, I just want you to choose 3. So maybe you want to choose the one that makes the most impact. So for example, if you have a health issue, if you fix that, that will make a massive impact on your life. If you're not happy with your career, choose that. Or if you're struggling in your business, choose to fix that, or whatever that is. if you're not loving your business, or if you do want to start a business, maybe choose that. You can choose relationships if that's someone you want to meet, or something you want to change. It could also be hobbies, it could be anything. Don't overthink it. All right. I just want you to choose one of the dreams. We won't be able to work on all three, but I'm going to show you how to do it, and then you can do it on your own for the rest of the two dreams. So for one dream, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and that's not enough. So you're going to have to do this in your own time after, but I just want to get it going. Brainstorm all the actions you need to do for one of the dreams that you choose. So for example, if you want to start your own business, what are all the actions around that? If you want to get fitter, what are all the actions around that? And if you want to change career, what are all the actions around that? It could be anything from all the things you think you need to do. Always think about who has done this before, who can help you. You know, are there someone in mentor walks that can help you with a career change? Are there someone in the health space that can help you with your wellness or health dream? If you need any support, I'm here to support you, of course, as well. So brainstorm all the actions for not in 90 seconds. Think about the big things, think about the small things. So brainstorm all the actions you think you need to do to make that one dream happen. And don't be overwhelmed with the amount. I'm going to make it a little bit easier in a minute. Just write it down. It's so good to do these things, because a lot of times I find we have it all in our heads. And when we have things in our heads and not on paper, it just goes around and round and round. Once you empty your head, you look at it on paper, it feels much more manageable. But if you feel overwhelmed with all the things, don't worry, we're going to make it easier in about 30 seconds. So I'm just going to give you another 30 seconds. Once you get to finish it, and you probably will continue thinking about all the actions tonight and tomorrow and until 2024 comes up, and that's great. Just add it all in. But I want you to highlight and choose the top 7. Sometimes when we have 100 on a piece of paper, we feel completely overwhelmed. But I don't want you to just choose the first 7. If you could only choose 7 actions in terms of big chunks, what would they be? So just circle around them for now, and you can take a bit more time. This requires a bit more time than we have today, but I just want to share the system that I use. And it's a really good system, because if you were to do 100 items over 2024, you might not get to it. But if you start with 7, and sometimes you start with like 3 kind of categories, and then you put some of the other actions underneath, it feels so much more manageable. And I'll share soon how to plan it in as well. But just highlight and choose the top 7 And there's no right and wrong. You can change it tomorrow. And there might be some things that you think, oh, that actually needs to be done before that. That's absolutely fine. And you might need to do all the 100, but sometimes you don't, because sometimes you just put a who in there. I'm going to research someone who's done this before. You can learn so much and speed the process. And I really encourage you when you go on your next mentor walk to actually share your dreams and goals for the year, because you never know if that mentor are able to support you to speed that up specifically. So when you register, maybe share with that so the guys can put you in the right team. I know that they do that anyway. So we're just gonna now think about, what do you need to stop to make these top 3? And I know that you might rethink that, but you can re-listen to this as many times as you need if you need more space and more time to really choose those top 3. But I want you to start, if you're going to choose those 3, what do you need to stop for next year? So go back to maybe to the list what you want to do less of, that you thought maybe I did that too much for 2023. What do you need to stop? So maybe you need to stop saying yes when you actually want to say no, so you have more time to work on your dreams and goals. That's one thing that I have become very good at, I have to say, because I practice it. And it's all of us are people pleasers, and I get so many inquiries for so many different things, and I'm getting very good at saying no based on what my values and my dreams and goals are for that year. We won't have time to do values today, but if you're not sure about what your values are, make sure that you do, because that helps you. That helps you say yes and no based on that, aligned with your dream. So what do you need to stop? Maybe you need to stop sabotaging yourself. A lot of us do that because we procrastinate, because sometimes when we have a big dream and goal, it's hard. So we might choose to go and watch television or go and eat or whatever we do. And all the things that we do are not always bad, but it's something that doesn't help if we want to make our dreams and goals happen. So what do you need to stop? Maybe you need to stop TV, news, being around energy drainers. It's incredible when you actually you are just around inspiring people. So this one, again, you need some more time. So just continue doing this another time. And what do you need to start? So if you now have the 3 things, what are you going to start with? Maybe you need to start getting up earlier and have a morning routine, so you actually feel like you have the energy. Maybe you need to create some habits that supports your dream. That's something I highly recommend. I've got a habit club, and every month we choose one new habit for the month, just to try something different to see if we can change. And this month I'm doing something very different, and I'm actually having a complaint-free December. And it's actually really challenging, because I don't complain about the weather and the everyday stuff. There's a couple of things with my kids that I complain about if they're not organized. I don't love looking for their school bags and school shoes. And the first 3 days I did not make it, and I had to really bite my tongue, and I'm getting better now. So today I haven't complained, touch wood, so far. But what do you need to stop complaining, maybe, and what do you need to start? And then no doubt you'll have some amazing things you want to continue. So if you're already exercising, eating well, showing up on time, just write those things down so you feel great about all the things that you're going to continue, that you already implemented in your life. So you obviously want to continue showing up at the mentor walks, because that gives you so much energy to keep going when things get challenging, and it always does. I want you to choose your word for the year, and I think this needs a bit more time, so you might not be able to do it now. There's a QR code on the screen that you can just put your phone against, and I've got a free document with loads of words that can help you. But I will, so that one is just a free thing that you can just download and you can choose, because I feel sometimes that you need a bit of time. You need to work out what the goals are specifically for 2024, and you might need some more time for that, and set a word. But I share mine. So I had action this year because I needed to take action on all the things that I needed to do because of a startup. And then my word of the year this year, I decided to do unstoppable. I wanted to just go for my big dreams for this year. But then I thought, actually, unstoppable is probably more of the result that I want. So I'm going to go for implement. I learned so much this year about marketing, startup, like starting a new business this year is so different compared to when I started my business 20 plus years ago. And also I had a big team and now I don't. So I need to implement all the things I've learned. So that's my word of the year. You could have a mindful word. You could have a energizing word. It could be a positive word. It could be something that you really want to live and breathe. And again, this probably requires a bit of time. So if you need some examples, just download that sheet if you need some support. Now we're going to go into the planning side, and we're going to do this very quickly because this again takes a lot of time, but I'm just going to share how I do it. I actually sit down on a Saturday morning to do this because I love it so much, and I pour a coffee and I put candles on it. I just really love planning. So what I start with is I actually have a wall calendar, and there will be a QR code for all the things that I use later on in case you want to grab anything. But basically, and you don't have to use my brand. You can use any brand. I'm not here to sell you anything, but a wall planner for a visual person like me, I find really helpful. And I put in all the key dates. So for me, that's school terms, school holidays. If you've got annual leaves, trips away, holidays, long weekends. I don't know about you, but often I think, oh, there's a long weekend coming up. And if it's on a Tuesday, you could take the Monday off and you can have 4 days. All those things to really plan ahead makes a big difference in terms of how you feel about the year. I love to go on retreats. I actually hold my first retreat this year in Fiji, which was amazing. I love to go on a health retreat or a retreat once a year. I'll be holding a few day retreats this for 2024. That's one of my dreams for next year. And I always feel so good. So I like to lock them in. Then I put in all my main birthdays and anniversaries for family and friends. I'm not well known in my family to remember people. So obviously I remember my kids, but I don't always remember my siblings. I remember them, but I don't always contact them, which I often hear. So I make sure that I have that on my, so you don't have to use a wall calendar. You can use a digital calendar, a paper diary, whatever you are using. But this is the way I start because you feel so much more in control of your year. And then I put in key dates for projects, dreams, and goals. So for example, if you have maybe one of your dreams is to become fitter. Maybe you want to put in that you're going to do fun runs. So for example, I do with my Dream Life community, I do a fun run every year with them in the Carmen's fun run here in Melbourne. It's in February. So you might want to put in a couple of fun runs. Maybe you want to do park run. Maybe you want to do yoga retreat, whatever it is for you. Maybe if you want to start your own business, you want to have a few key dates. So you need to spend some time doing this in your own time because you need to look at your diary, look at what your rest of the family, if you've got a family or friends, if you need to do something with them for travel, etc. So once you have this key dates for 2024 and you have that overview, and if you have something specific big coming up, put it all on that. And then so this is how I do it. We got a journal called Plan Your Year. We have it like this. So if you want to use a paper one, or obviously this is also printable from any of the Google calendars or Outlook or whatever you're using. I like to look at it this way because I plan then in every quarter. I focus on one quarter at a time, and I only plan Q1 now, and then I do Q2 in February, and then I do Q3 end of whatever that is, May, June. And that's how I plan. And it means that I'm just going to show you. So this is how I plan. So once you've done the whole year, then I go really, really detailed for Q1, because what I've learned is that there's so many changes. For example, this year, it took me 6 months to work out what I'm going to focus on in my business because I tried lots of different things and I just wasn't quite sure. After 6 months, I think I nailed it. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do. and then I plan the next quarter accordingly. So this is a really good way of always feeling like you're on top of the year versus coming to the end of the year thinking, gosh, I didn't get anything done. If you plan your year first and then each quarter, almost as if it is a mini year, you get so much done. I've done this for many years now, and I've got a whole system around it. And for anyone who wants to go deeper in this, this is my theme for the coaching program in January, and I do it live with you over 5 sessions. And the good thing with that is that you actually do it with me, because most of us are not very good at doing things on our own. So if you need some support, that's an option. Then I do an ideal week. I won't go in specifically on this, but I find it so useful if you have themes. So for example, for me, I do social media planning on Tuesdays. I do my podcast and be on other people's podcasts on Thursdays. I have team meetings and other meetings on Wednesday, and I do admin on Fridays. Having a dream week or ideal week or perfect week, however you want to call it, is so beneficial. This is what products, I'm just finishing up so we can get some questions. This is what I use. So this is, you can just go to that QR code and you'll get a link for everything. Yearly wall planner I find really useful. I also plan my year. This is what I do based on that journal is what I do in the coaching program in January. And you can actually just join for a month if you want to. Daily progress. This is what I use every single day to keep on track on my top 3. And I use the daily wins every night because I love planning my wins for the next day. I know there's also room for how to put 3 things you're grateful for, because I think the more grateful you are, the more things comes your way to be grateful for. And I'm big on self-care. I never had a burnout, and when I come back next year to do a session on my big challenging 2 years transitioning out of KKK and then starting again, self-care was a big thing, and I never had a burnout. So I'm going to share all those tools when we meet again in the new year. So if this was useful, if you need more, you can just go in here on this QR code to plan with me in January if you want to. But I want to remind you, where you are a year from now is a reflection of the choices you make right now. And I know you already know this, but a year goes so quickly. So if you implement this now, while you still have some time, you will feel amazing. And I haven't announced this yet, but every New Year's Day at 10 a.m. Australian time, I do a free workshop. And people always laugh. My friends, they're like, who gets up at 10 a.m.? There's a few of us. So if you want to join that, you absolutely can. I'll go back to the QR code in case you want to look into that. And maybe the products is better. I don't know. We're now open up for questions. Tina, do you want me? Because I actually can't see anyone in the chat. I don't know if that's just me, but there's nothing in there. And I can't hear
you. Yourself. Yeah, I'm going to put one of my questions in.
Okay.
Okay.
See if you can see that.
Okay. So I'm just going to. Yeah, or if it was just me. Yes, values. Yes, absolutely. So there are lots of different tools, but the way and there's a free tool on my website on values you can choose from. This everything is in your dreamlifestyle.com or the Dream Life store. That's more the product side, but both of them connect. And I like to do working out values a little bit differently. It's really what do you love spending time on, and what do you actually find important? What do you surround yourself? So I don't know if you see here, but I have books everywhere. I have a book club, and I read probably, I don't know how many books a week, but I read a lot, and it's one of my highest values. And once I worked that out, I realized I'm never ever going to feel guilty on spending money on books, and also going to retreats. Personal growth is one of my highest ones. So I spend a lot of money on coaching and programs and learning. So have a think about what's important to you, and choose a few things. For example, another thing for me, I love traveling, but I'm a real homebody, and there's quite a lot of great tools like Dr. DeMartini. He does a really good values test that's free on his website, but there's a lot of them around. In my coaching program, I go through that in depth as well. So that's a really good question, and I'm going to go up this. Oh, there's quite a lot now. What are you planning? What if you're planning a side as if you plan a theme for a week? Yes, so if I was you, Kay, if I say that right, if you're planning it for a side as it's hard to plan a theme for a week. Absolutely. So why don't, I'm just going to assume here that you work 5 days a week. Why don't you spend Saturday mornings to work on your side hustle for 2 hours? Or if you can't do that, 1 hour. There is never enough time, but if you find it important enough, if that's one of your top 3 and you're working 5 days and you're really tired, that's completely understandable. That's why I think working on your health at the same time is really important. But why don't you set aside 2 hours on Saturday? So for example, I love personal growth. So I do courses, or I'm studying longevity at the moment. So I do that on Saturday mornings. And because I'm so passionate about that, I get up early and do that. So maybe that is helpful for anyone who wants to pursue a dream outside of your current role. Please talk more about challenges and your own distractions. Yes, I've got loads of them. My own distractions is definitely the phone. So I love a distraction. I also realize, because I do detoxes every quarter, and when you do detoxes, you can't do emotional eating. And when I say emotional eating, it's more just like, instead of doing a project or work on something hard, I think, oh, maybe I just need a cup of tea. Maybe I just need a biscuit. Maybe I need this and that. And when you do detox, you can't do that because it's very restricted. And then I realize I go to the phone. So what I do is I put my phone away in another room, and I set a timer so you can use another phone or timer on your computer, or set it as an alarm on, but have it in the other room so you don't get distracted. And you put 28 minutes and you focus on only one thing. And if 28 minutes too long, start with 5. And it might not seem like a big deal, but it makes a massive difference for someone who are easily distracted by your own, because a lot of us think we are distracted by co-workers and friends and family, but most of the time I find it's actually myself. So that was really good questions. How do you keep energized past Easter to achieve goals? That's why you planning quarterly. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. I give you so it's Kristina Dream Life. I had to change it from my previous business. So I give tips every day. I go for a walk, and most walks I give tips on how to be plan more and live your dream life. So that might be a good one to keep motivated. I just added a second episode on my podcast, and it's called Monday Morning Motivation. It's available each Monday morning for 10 minutes. So you can be inspired. You need to find what inspires you. Maybe join a group or do whatever you need to do, but planning quarterly will be super helpful, because that means that you're energized for new ones. So you almost treat each quarter as if it is a mini year. I've done a lot of podcasts around that as well on my podcast. When you get back on the horse, when you are falling short on your plan, all of us fall off the horse all the time, and it's really part of living. We fall off the horse because of our own issues, maybe the world issues. Something happens outside your control. Maybe you get sick. Maybe someone passes away. It's just life. And the most important thing is to just deal with that when you need to deal with that, and then go back on the horse. And that's why it's so important to have your dreams like visually somewhere. Maybe you can create a vision board. Maybe you can put them on your bathroom mirrors to remember what is important to you, but let yourself go with the flow when things like that happen, especially when we're talking grief, because that's just really hard. But there's silver linings in everything, and sometimes we just need a bit of time to deal with that and then come back. And that's why quarterly planning is so effective. How do you actually get done what you plan daily, weekly, monthly, and you're always readjusting your plan basically to get done? So the way I do that, it's a bit of a bigger question. That's why I'm hesitating, because it's not an easy answer. But one of the most important thing when you start doing it like this, and you're not going to be perfect, like everything, you need practice. And what you need to do is actually follow through. So if you plan out what you say you're going to do, so for example, if I have a podcast plan with someone else, so I had Bobby and Adina on, I showed up for them, of course, that's just no option. But I also do a lot of solo podcasts, and I just need to show up for that as well. And does it happen all the time? Absolutely not. I am human just like everyone else, but it's just really start practicing and planning it out and showing up. And sometimes you don't know how long things will take, but if you start using this system, I promise you that you will get easier and easier. And once you get a few things done and you get closer to your dream life, I just batched all my podcasts, for example, last week until end of January. It was hard work, and I tried to procrastinate, but I was on such a tight schedule for my editor that I did it. And after that, I was like, bring it on. I'm just going to plan out February, March, April at the same time. And it's amazing when you get momentum. So just start, and just don't be too hard on yourself. If you fall off, just go back and get on with it. I'm going to do 2 more questions. Is that all right, Tina? I can't see Karina. So is that all right? Yep, great. Of course, anyone can leave anytime. How did you actually get done? That one I did. I used to plan ahead, but now my mindset already took. Yeah, we all have things that don't go to plan. If it's your, you're talking about COVID, I certainly had that. So I made a decision, and I can't wait to do this session with you guys next year, but I made a decision really quickly not to go down with the business. So the business went under, but I thought, I'm not going to go under. It didn't mean that I was like that and I was chirpy and happy. It took a couple of years to get through all this. And I was sad, I was angry, I was frustrated. It was horrific, because KKK wasn't just a business for me, it was my family. So it was really, really hard. But I made a decision that I'm not going to go depression, because that would have been an easier choice, go depressed. I mean, sometimes we don't have a choice with that, but because I work on myself so much, I knew the tools that I'm going to share with you next year are all things that you can do in good times and bad times. And what I did is, like, I walked a lot, I meditated a lot. Journaling is my key for everything. I solve everything through journaling, and it sounds very simple, but it's incredibly effective. And then I just realized that I couldn't get KKK back. So I had a choice to grieve that forever, or start again. And as an entrepreneur, I knew that I could do it again. And in fact, I love my new business a million times better than KKK. And I'll talk more about that. But absolutely, you just have to make a decision, but you also need to acknowledge and work through it. But if it's COVID related, it's probably time to say, okay, I'm now not going to look back. I'm now going to dream and start again, whatever that is. And it's really unfortunate, and it happens in relationships and happens with people passes away. It's things sometimes that we can't control. What do you suggest for someone that's head is constantly busy and continue in what I should want in life, and what goals and values I want? So I would do what I said before. Decide on a Saturday morning, if you're working Monday to Friday, if not, choose a day that works, and make a decision that you're going to work on yourself for maybe an hour or 2, and really spend time working on what we went through today. Listen to that a couple of times and really start thinking about what's important to you. Because at the end of the day, and this is for everyone, not just for that question, at the end of the day, there's only one person that can make your dream life happen, and that is you. And we all know that, but at the end of our life, there will be one person that could have made an impact on you, and that is you. So my hope and wish for you, and this is a perfect way of ending this hour together, is that you don't want to get to the end of your life and regret all the things you didn't do. Might be some things you regret that you did do, but they're not going to be even close to the things that you didn't do. So if there are some things you want to do, that if there are some things you want to make happen, start thinking about it. It's not going to happen overnight. There is no such a thing as overnight success. You need to work on it, and even working out what you want to do in life is a process. And I'm here to support you if you need some help. But I hope this has been inspiring for you to make 2024 your best year yet. And if you had a challenging year for 2023, and a lot of us did, learn from it, work on it, and then say, okay, this is it. Now I'm going to make 2024 my best year yet. And if you do that every single year, you will get to the end of your life and knowing that you did everything that you could. Thank you so much, and wishing you all a happy ending of 2023, and of course the best 2024 that you can possibly have.
Thank you so much, Kristina. That was inspiring. I have got a brilliant list, and I really appreciate it. On behalf of Mentor Walks and the Iconic Conversation series, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And know that Mentor Walks is here for you next year. Good luck with your dreams, and have a wonderful festive season. Thank you.